Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the new evolutions that have just gone live in North America, along with the other goodies that was released from the most recent maintenance. So, first things first, we have Super Reincarnated Ariel, and she is going to be one of the most accessible and strong Daytona subs for the average player. So looking at her awakenings, from Super Awakenings, you're going to get either probably Cloud or probably TPA or Bind Immunity, depending on what you need to have. But the rest of her awakenings have 2 skill boosts. You have a 10 combo, a 7 combo, and 3 TPAs along with a Super Jammer Resist. So if you really want to push her damage output much higher, I would honestly want to pursue that TPA awakening. You can find Bind Immunity through other means. In theory, with her 4 turn-based cooldown, you could inherit, say, Reach's hat on top. You get the Bind Immunity, you get another TPA, you get your counter to damage absorption and color absorption. Might be something to keep in mind, but for Daytona, why she's going to be so helpful is she's got a 4-turn base cooldown, which means she can easily inherit something over top of it. So I said Reach's hat, for instance, but you definitely could use like Delay, Haste, or whatever you actually need to bring for the given dungeon. She has strong personal damage, with her sub-attribute actually able to deal a respectable amount of damage as well. So not only can she double cap on her main attribute, she's going to also be dealing meaningful amounts of damage on her sub-attribute, which is definitely quite valuable. And in addition to this 4-turn cooldown being low and wonderful, you have the ability to unlock the board and then create 4 light orbs at random, and then giving 1.5 times attack for Ariel, which is helping obviously her sub-attribute deal even more damage, and bonus orb movement time. The orb movement time is oftentimes not needed on Daytona teams because matching is not too hard when all you have to do is match exactly 4 light orbs. But hey, it's a buff that you may not have had before. I will always take it. It does give, I guess, the time extend as well, again, because Daytona teams often have no movement time, so it might be something of value there. For myself, I feel like I would probably want to utilize it on my MD2 team when I'm playing self-co-op. I would probably be dropping Athena Non and putting Ariel instead. Athena Non is reasonable, but Ariel is going to hit harder. She does get more TPAs, which means in theory she's able to clear more with the unmatchable latent if that's something you are pursuing instead of double damage cap. And low cooldown with an unlock, which still solves the problematic floors of, say, like Orochi or even Indra, because technically against Indra, when you think about it, it's a whole board of hearts, but now you get 4 light orbs made at random, and it will overwrite those heart orbs. So it's nice, unlike some other active skills which don't take away hearts. They like to take, say, spawn 4 light orbs over non-hearts. Not the case in Ariel, so Ariel definitely can be utilized there. And of course, any other dungeon, really, I feel like Ariel is definitely going to be strong. Furthermore, in the future, when Alt MD2 comes out, Super Reincarnated Pantheons actually receive a zesty bonus, which I'll talk about more when that dungeon actually released. But point of the matter is, if you have Ariel, you should make her, you should level her up, you're probably going to want to utilize her for Daytona. Next new evolution is Sara's blue form. So yellow form Sara is great for Yuri Shaw / Saitama teams, but the blue one I feel like is a little bit of an awkward place. Sure, they have lots of 7 combos, and you can make the argument that, well, maybe Seawolf can use it, but her sub-attribute isn't that great. Hera Luna is a much better choice for a 7 combo stick if you're really hungering for that for your Seawolf teams, because her main attribute and her sub-attribute can deal meaningful amounts of damage, whereas there's no team at this point in time that actually uses blue and green at the same time, so that's obviously a bit of a detriment, so the sub-attribute doesn't really put out much value. She can have 4 skill boosts or super blind resist. It's still strong awakenings. Her active skill is a 3-turn delay with a full board unlock and generates 9 fire, water, wood orbs at random. Not even hard orbs, which I think is a little disappointing. So in theory, you still could use them on your Seawolf teams, but if you have Hera Luna, I'd be much more inclined to actually utilize Hera Luna instead of Sara. So at this point in time, I feel like Blue Sara doesn't really have a great place to be utilized in, but of course that may change in the future. And of course the opportunity cost of not using her light form for Yuri Shaw / Saitama teams. On the flip side, her weapon assist is actually not bad. It has a team HP and 2 team RCVs and cloud resist, so solid awakenings overall, and it still has that 3-turn delay. So in theory, if you're needing a delay weapon, this may not be a bad choice, especially if you don't utilize the Manoa weapons effectively, because you don't need the Rose, you don't need the skill boost, for instance. Team RCVs are always great things to have on any given team, because being able to heal back up with ease is incredibly important. Next are Yuri Shaw's, and Yuri Shaw's new evolutions will come by beating the current new MD3, which is an unbelievably hard dungeon. So if you are able to obviously clear the dungeon, you can look forward to actually utilizing some interesting cards here. So for green Yuri Shaw, she can get a 10 combo Super Awakening. So she has double 7 VDP 10 combo. Huge amounts of personal damage. She also has 3 enhanced heart orbs and 4 skill boosts. Right away from an Awakening's point of view, this is a strong card and definitely can be utilized in your Nautilus teams or your Christmas Manoa teams because favorable damage against all types of spawns. Healing Solution does definitely alleviate some of the dependency on Alina. Obviously, Alina is still, in my opinion, the best Wood Cleric option for green teams, but hey, we now have another option through Yuri Shaw to provide a healing solution at least. Yuri Shaw is not an alternative to your cleric, but it does lower the need to run Alina and have a healing solution because her active skill is not a cleric, but it gives you 50% damage reduction, which is great. One turn shields are quite valuable in this day and age. There are so many instances where one turn of shielding is become mandatory to have, like you're playing through MD2, shielding those big preemptives potentially, or more so shielding yourself against the final bosses is meaningful, especially when you push them below half health. They tend to do something mean. Same with Blue Mirror, just hits incredibly hard. In Shura 3 we want it. We'd like to have it in Shura 2 as well. Point is, shields are good. In terms of the rest of the active, it gives you a movement time buff, which we do enjoy, and creates 1 spinner at random. So 1 spinner lets you overwrite any other spinners that are existing. So say they spawn created many spinners and it's a nightmare to deal with, you can overwrite that. You also get that movement time buff to actually take advantage of the spinner, so you can spin out key orbs and match whatever pattern you're desiring. So it's got a multi-use aspect to this active skill, so quite valuable overall. I definitely feel like it'd be a nice strong sub for Mono Wood, but again, the hard part is, actually beating the dungeon to get her gem to drop. As a weapon assist, same active skill, which I feel like is not quite that great as a weapon. It's good when it's a sub because it's a low cooldown. It gives a nice effect, but as a weapon, you want it to be a bit higher impact, so I'm less inclined to pursue it. It does have nice awakenings, obviously, if you're a wood-based team, or you can take advantage of enhanced wood orbs, but not as magical overall. On the other hand, Light Yuri Shaw, I think, is actually an incredibly strong sub. You can have up to 6 skill boosts and super blind resist. So right away, we've got a great sub just from a utility point of view. And then she also has 4 VDP awakenings. And with 4 VDP awakenings, your Saitama what's her face? I forgot her name. But like your Saitama plus Saphira teams become incredibly strong by comparison because hard-hitting card with meaningful awakenings, it's already looking good. And then hopefully this active is great, and it's already great because it's a 3-turn cooldown. 3-turn cooldown means you can easily inherit something over top of it, whether it's delay, haste, shield, absorption cancellation, whatever it is, easy to inherit over top of. And it gives you 1 turn of no Skyfalls, which overwrites any other existing debuff. You get a single roulette, and then 3 heart and 3 light orbs at random. So you don't get the movement time buff to take advantage of the spinner as much, but hey, a single spinner is still valuable for spinning out extra orbs. You also get just orb generation alongside of it, so there's no actual real downside to this active skill when I really think about it. And as a whole, Light Yuri Shaw is actually going to be an incredibly strong mono light sub when you're a VDP oriented team. For her weapon assist, I like the awakenings, at least from double Team HP, Team RC, and L. Those are great to have, but just be mindful of the fact that it's still a 3-turn based cooldown, which means it's going to overcharge by accident oftentimes, and you're not going to be happy when it does. So I feel like it'd be much more inclined to put this on, say, like a transforming card whose base active you're going to be using on a regular basis, because those are a nice spread of awakenings from just like a bulk and healing and even like a utility point of view. So strong weapon assist, but again, with both Yuri Shaws, you have to actually be able to beat the new Dimension of the Mystics for MD, or MD3 is what people would call it. So it's an incredibly hard dungeon along with a special title challenge run. And if you are successful in clearing the title challenge, you will be awarded the Peacock title. I'm glad they didn't shorten it down to 4 letters because that could have been a little inappropriate. But is the Peacock title cooler than Star Draw and Space Time? I'm not sure. I like the look of Space Time. It looks clean and elegant, and Star Draw is like, I guess the word's kind of cool, and I like blue more. But you know what? It's a difficult dungeon. If you are able to clear it, I would love for you to share the team that you use to tackle the dungeon, because I know there are people who are interested in doing so. For myself, I'm having tremendous amounts of health problems. It just gets worse and worse, unfortunately. That's partially why I haven't been like uploading or streaming as much, because I can't do much. My wrists have become quite problematic that it's so difficult to play pad. I really haven't played any pad for the past several weeks now. It just hurts to move, and like it's frustrating. Like maybe I can play for like say like 5-10 minutes, not too bad, and then it starts hurting more, and then obviously if you fail a dungeon it feels even worse. outside of playing pad stuff for my health stuff, I've been trying to like stay positive, so to speak. And like I do a bit of miniature painting, but it's done in very short bursts. Takes quite a long time to finish something. Instead of being it done in say like 1 or 2 sessions, it's probably 4 or 5 sessions, and I just have to keep spreading things out. But at least with painting, if I make a mistake, it's easy to paint over. It wasn't a waste of time. But either way, I'm trying to find ways to work around it. I would love to try and at least play it because I do like playing pad. But on the other hand, there is going to be a new dungeon released as well. So there's Neptune Dragon Descended. So Neptune Dragon Descended is a special kind of dungeon where you have a fixed leader and helper. So Gunlo is giving you a set leaders you have to use. So obviously water-based teams are going to have an easier time because you need to actually, you know, match those water orbs. And clearing the dungeon will give you Neptune Dragon drops. And doing so will let you evolve Neptune Dragon to his new form. And Super Reincarnated Neptune Dragon can have potentially 4 skill boosts. They have solid personal damage. They have rows. They have combo orb. It's not a bad looking thing overall. The leader skill, I think, is a little unreasonable because you need to have rarity of 35 stars or less, and Neptune Dragon is 10 stars. So if you wanted to run double Neptune Dragon, you've already got 20 out of your 35, and you still have 4 more subs to go. I think it's going to be quite hard to actually have your rarity be below 35 to get this leader skill to work. I feel like you should definitely asymmetrically pair them to make that a little easier. And you don't have auto follow attack, but you do get bonus combos. It's, I think, a cool idea, but it's maybe hard to pan out. The active skill is evolving, and the first form doesn't really solve too many things aside from giving you 50% damage reduction for 3 turns and water orb generation. So I feel like it could be used to just stall at the beginning because, you know, you can tank large hits with a big 50% damage reduction shield. And then once it's evolved, you get a 1.5 times attack buff for water, and then a movement time buff as well, and remove locked orbs and create the top row of water orbs. I think that's not a bad thing overall, but obviously the hardest part is, you know, actually being able to utilize the base skill in a meaningful manner to actually let it evolve and then leverage the stronger effect. But with that being said, I feel like Neptune Dragon's weapon assists are a little spicier instead. So his first weapon assist is Combo Orb and 3 Team RCVs. Healing is great, and Combo Orbs are good for certain teams, like obviously like Saitama and Saphira. Nautilus teams love to use Combo Orbs. If you can use Combo Orbs, it can be meaningful there. And then it gives you a Poison, which we don't really care for too much. Fully Recover Awoken Binds, and then Voids damage absorption for 3 turns on a 14-turn cooldown. So as a farmable weapon assist that gives you damage absorption cancellation, this is actually pretty good when you think about it. 3 turns of absorption is sufficient for any type of content. And again, if you are using Nautilus or any team that does take advantage of combo orbs, this is going to be a wonderfully strong weapon to actually have in your repertoire or roster. Obviously, the lack of team HPs means you can't tank as big hits, but healing up to full is still meaningful, and assuming you had enough health to tank, it is great. So as a whole, I like this weapon assist quite a bit, and I definitely feel like it's worth pursuing and just having as an option. He also has another weapon assist, which is all row-based, and does the same active skills. So from a universal point of view, the Combo Orb and triple team RCVs is obviously more flexible, but if you're a mono water team and you love your rows, which is great for row YOLO teams, this weapon assist can definitely be a meaningful solution because it's a 12-turn cooldown only while having attribute absorption. Sorry, it's attribute absorption, not damage absorption, so a little bit different. So if you're a water-based team and you want to counter color absorption, this definitely could be a strong solution. It's got a 12-turn cooldown. It also gives a delay for 2 turns. So it does a little bit of everything. Not a bad weapon overall, but I feel like the damage absorption is just going to be a bit more meaningful overall. In addition to that, Neptune has received buffs. Neptune does have a new weapon assist through this tiara. It's Cloud with a bunch of rows, and it gives you a big buff for attack and RCV and poison. The active skill itself, I don't think is meaningful enough, so you're basically just using this weapon to just benefit from the awakenings, which is nice, but not that great overall. I feel like there are stronger options available. In addition to all of this, Noah Dragon has been buffed to have the blob awakening, like the super blob where you match 12 or more. So having the full board of water orbs and swiping makes Noah Dragon hit gargantuan amounts of damage. This is great. Farming for water-based teams, if you like swipe farming, this can be a great solution because Noah Dragon is stronger now with a 15 instead of a 25-turn cooldown. It's quite feasible to actually get going. Super Reincarnated Neptune, I feel like I would never still utilize them as a sub, even though they have a beautiful 6 skill boost and the Blob Awakening. The reason for that is because their active skill doesn't solve anything. A big attack buff, an RCV buff, and poison on a 15-turn cooldown doesn't solve any problem we're currently dealing with. So I just find it challenging to impossible to actually justify utilizing Super Reincarnated Neptune anyway. But his weapon assist and his current weapon assist actually became quite strong. It still has the same OEs and resists and team HP, but in addition to that, you have an L Awakening. A single L can make a big difference on a given team when you're trying to team build, because if you couldn't find an L anywhere, you can definitely utilize this and the swap becomes obviously still just as strong. The active skill has been buffed to provide an RCV buff and an attack buff. Why is actually different here? What changed? 22 turns. I don't see any difference. I'm confused. I read it before. I thought there was a change. No, there isn't. I can't understand what's different with the active skill. Nothing looks different. But it's still a 22-turn leader swap style active skill with nice beneficial awakening. So no real downside to the Neptune. I honestly feel like I would just make this weapon assist and just have it ready, because Red Mieta is pretty hard to get, and there are not many other great weapon assist options for leader swapping. So that being said, those are all the new buff / meaningful updates that have come live from the latest maintenance. So that being said, let me know what you think about all these cards in the comments down below. Which ones are you most excited for, and which ones have you actually made already and taking advantage of all thus forth? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.